Hey there everyone, I'm Ashley Billington and you're watching The Campfire. This week we're deep diving into District 15 6A. Fifteen 6A has some really great schools in it as the Klein and Tomball ISDs go head to head. These are the teams that you'll be seeing in District 15 6A after realignment.
Klein, Klein Cain, Klein Collins, Klein Forest, Klein Oak, Tomball, and Tomball Memorial.
I feel like I say this almost every week, but this is going to be a great district, as those Klein ISD schools gave everyone a run for their money in 2019, and the Tomball ISD football teams are big old powerhouses. You can vote for who you think will take the district crown on our Twitter account, IHSS Houston. Now we have a quick trivia question for you.
What production did Emmy-winning actor Matt BOMER quit the Klein football team to be in? A. Cats, B. Wicked, C. Streetcar Named Desire, or D. Les Mis?
Well, friends, I think I outdid myself. I finally gave you a trivia question that I don't think you can get the answer to. But if you do, go and comment on our social media platforms. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We'll be releasing the answer to this trivia question on Saturday. Also, if you're a podcast person, The Campfire comes in podcast form. You can listen to The Campfire as well as our entire Inside High School Sports Houston catalog at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Now it's time for the film session, presented by your local Geico offices in Cypress, Katy, Spring, and Pearland.
District 15 6A is a 7-team district that features 5 Klein ISD schools and 2 Tomball ISD schools. The 5 Klein programs remain in 15 6A, while Tomball Memorial slides over from 14 6A and Tomball makes the jump in classification from 5A Division 1. Let's start with the Klein schools. Klein Collins won the district title a year ago, and the Tigers eventually reached the 3rd round of the playoffs. Klein Collins is, of course, best known for its vaunted defense, and the Tigers returned 3 all-district defensive standouts. On the offensive side of the ball, look for the Tigers to build around dual-threat quarterback Colby Powers. Klein Oak reached the 3rd round last season, but the Panthers lose the unstoppable duo of all-district quarterback Montrell Bolton and district MVP Dwight McLaughlin. But head coach Jason Glenn does have plenty of weapons on both sides of the ball returning this season, and the Panthers should once again be in a position to contend for the district title. Klein Cain reached the postseason in its 2nd year of varsity football last year, and the Hurricanes are poised to build upon that success in 2020. Running back Jaden Blue earned Offensive Newcomer of the Year honors as a sophomore last season and could be the centerpiece of the Hurricanes' offensive attack. The Klein Bearcats missed the playoffs last year for the first time since 2015, but expect this consistently solid program to bounce right back. A pair of first-team all-district performers on offense and running back Kenzo Vittery and tight end Mason Tharp make for marquee weapons to mold the offensive round. Keep an eye on Klein this fall. Klein Forest struggled to a winless 2019 campaign, but there's reason for optimism for the Golden. Klein Forest alum and former Klein Oak running back coach Jonathan Wilson takes over as the head coach at his alma mater. Wilson received an early surprise as top running back recruit Amonte Watkins transferred from Louisiana and could be the focal point of the Golden Eagles offense this year. Tomball Memorial recorded its first ever playoff win last season, and this looks like a program that is rapidly on the rise as Sam Parker prepares for his 4th season at the helm of the Wildcats. The quarterback-receiver duo of Colton Marwell and Joseph Manjack makes for a lethal aerial attack for the Wildcats, coming off a 10-win season and back-to-back playoff bursts. Tomball Memorial is definitely a threat for the 15 6A title this year. Rounding out the district is Tomball. Making the leap from 5A Division 1, the Cougars went 5-5 a year ago and just missed the postseason, coming up on the short end of a tiebreaker. Tomball returns plenty of firepower at the offensive skill positions, with 4 all-district performers back on that side of the ball. The Cougars should be a fun team to watch in 2020.
And those special teams are made of special players. We highlight a few of them from 15 6A and this week's edition of Players on the Rise, presented by Grimaldi's Pizzeria.
Colby Powers is going into his senior season at Klein Collins. Powers was used aggressively in the offensive scheme, but found his place under center, leading the charge at quarterback. In 2019, Powers had 1,329 passing yards and 16 touchdowns. Klein Oak running back Charles Garrett is a junior in the 2020 season. In his 2 years on varsity, Garrett has over 1,300 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. Garrett breaks through defenses and will be utilized in Klein Oak's offensive scheme even more in the coming season. Running back Jaden Blue helped his school to their first ever playoff appearance for Klein Cain in 2019. As a sophomore, Blue had 1,612 rushing yards and 205 carries, 161 yards per game, and had 16 touchdowns for the Hurricanes. In a competitive district, he will be needed for Cain to get the edge over the competition. Tomball Memorial quarterback Colton Marwill is ready to go for his senior season. Marwill has 2 years on varsity under his belt with an impressive stat line in those seasons. In 2019, Marwill had 2,844 passing yards and 35 total touchdowns. He's going to be looked at to lead his squad if they want to rack up wins in their new district. Tomball Cougar Cash Walker is a man on a mission. The senior will be needed to help his team in 2020 in a new district. Walker is considered one of the best wide receivers in the 2021 class, and he's ready to prove it in District 15 6A.
And we recognize those players for their accomplishments on the gridiron. But do you know somebody from the high school sports scene accomplishing great things in your community? A player, coach, or team going that extra mile. Nominate them for a Chevy Spotlight. To nominate, go to IHSSChevySpotlight.com and stay tuned to our social media platforms throughout the summer to see if your nomination is featured. Now it's time for our Media Day segment.
Hey there, everyone. I have head coach of Klein Collins, Adrian Mitchell, on with me. Coach Mitchell, how's it going?
Oh, everything's great. Everything's good.
And you know, you have some key players that will be coming back for the 2020 season. So who are some of the big names on Klein Collins that we should be looking out for?
All right, so Donald Lee, we're moving him from corner to safety. It won't be a surprise to anybody. They'll see him out there. Colby Powers, our quarterback. We're able to do a lot of things with Colby, put him at some receiver. He's a big kid, so he's able to block from the backfield as a quarterback, strong arm, can throw the ball down the field. Our O-line is going to be tough as it normally is. And like I said before, we're a defense-driven team, so, we're looking forward to, getting back with our kids and kind of making sure we have the pieces in the right place so that, when we do get here, when the ball does get here, we're ready to keep our legacy going.
And, realignment happened, UIL, there's some new teams in every single district. Districts are looking a little different. So let's talk a little bit about your district and who are some of those teams that y'all be seeing in that 2020 season?
Oh, we have all the Klein schools, and we've been playing against these kids forever. So, that's still in place. There are 5 of us, so, we're excited about, continuing to play against those guys. And then we're bringing in the Tomball schools, Tomball and Tomball Memorial. Tomball is going to be moving back up. We were in the same district with those guys years ago, so we get to bring back, that game. I think that's going to be really exciting. Tomball Memorial, Coach Parker over there, he's doing a great job with those guys. And we coached against him when he was at Spring, so there's a little normalcy there and just some familiarity with what they do. And both those programs are rolling, so it's going to be really fun. You get out of a district with the Conroe schools, and those teams are extremely competitive, where you're fighting for district championships, you're fighting for playoff spots. I don't think it'll be any different with the Tomball schools.
And last year, y'all were in a district that kind of seemed all clumped together. Everyone was fighting for a playoff spot, but it was really cool to see the Klein rivalries and how that was really playing out. Can you talk about those rivalries within your ISD?
Yeah, so it's really fun. It's really unique, I believe, because we have district meetings where the head coaches were all together, and it's a brotherhood within a brotherhood. We all have really good relationships, so getting to go out and play those games, it's super competitive. I remember during our Oak game, looking over to the sideline and smiling at Jason. He's smiling back at me, and we're like, all right, baby, we're rolling. After that game was done, they got the better of us this year. And, I was like, man, it's one heck of a game. And, he felt the same way. And, it's just kind of how we work together. And you got Shane over there at Klein. And, those guys in the district, we do a great job. We work together really well. The newest member to the brotherhood is Coach Wilson. He got the job at Klein Forest, and he worked at Klein Oak. So that's another guy within the district that we already had relationships with. And Coach Clancy, before becoming the head coach at Straight Jesuit, he was at Klein Oak, went to Straight Jesuit. Now he's back at Klein Kane, and so it's like we've all kind of been around each other for a really long time. Before becoming head coaches, with the exception of Shane. And, it's a really good brotherhood within a brotherhood. So the rivalries are really strong because we're all really competitive and we want to beat each other, obviously, but, we still all respect the values that the game brings, so it's really cool.
We'll be right back after a couple messages from our sponsors.
Chevrolet Inside High School Sports is brought to you by your Houston area Chevy dealers. Visit your nearest dealer to test drive our award-winning products. The film session is presented by your local Geico offices in Cypress, Katy, Spring, and Pearland. To get more information or a quote, go to geico.com/Houston. The Players on the Rise is presented by Grimaldi's Coal Brick Oven Pizzeria. Grimaldi's Pizzeria is open for dine-in, carry-out, and delivery. Visit Grimaldi'sPizzeria.com.
Welcome back to the Campfire. District 156A is obviously going to be a really tough district. In my eyes, this is one of those districts with a big old question mark on it for who the 4 playoff teams will be. We might not be able to give you that answer, but we can give you more insight into this district. Now it's time for the district breakdown. We have Inside High School Sports Insider Matt Harris to give us a deep dive into District 156A.
Thanks, Ashley. If you'll remember, this district was one of my favorites a year ago. Now, Conroe ISD is off to 13-6A and Klein ISD stays in 15-6A and will be joined by the 2 Tomball schools to make 7 teams, a more manageable district than the 9-team 15-6A from a season ago. I'll kick it off with a team that was squeezed out of that talented playoff picture, the Klein Bearcats. A 4-4 district finish wasn't good enough to secure a playoff spot, just like Conroe, who we discussed 2 weeks ago. It was an odd year for Klein. They beat Klein Oak to open district play before losing 4 straight. One of those losses was a narrow 14-10 decision at the hands of district champion Klein Collins. They then went on to win the final 3 district games, but that wasn't quite good enough. Now, they'll need to replace the dynamic Bryce Corriston at quarterback. That won't be particularly easy, but whoever steps in will have no shortage of weapons. Tight end Mason Tharp is one of the bigger targets in the area and is currently committed to Texas Tech. Running backs Kenzo Viteri and Quentin Curtis will make for a nice duo in the backfield as well. I think Klein will absolutely challenge for a playoff spot at the back end of the playoffs. Next up is a team that just missed the district championship last year, Klein Oak. The Panthers won 2 playoff games and finished with a 10-3 record before bowing out to a really good Rockwall squad. Quarterback Montrell Bolton and wideout/defensive back Dwight McLaughlin were a big reason why Oak was able to make a 3rd-round playoff run, but now both are gone. Oak will suffer more attrition than most in the area, but they do return running back Charles Garrett, who already has 2 years of varsity experience. The defense will be led by Lance Bobb on the line and Kaysen Tullis at linebacker, but there are a lot of other questions. I see Klein Oak falling off a little bit from its 2nd place finish in 2019, but expect them to battle with Klein for one of the final playoff spots. Meanwhile, Klein Kane made the playoffs for the first time in school history, and I can guarantee you they aren't stopping there. Quarterback Luke Party had an excellent season and he'll be missed sorely. The good news is, Kane returns loads of talent at other positions. Running back Jaden Blue could have his choice of any college in the nation by the time this season's done, and he's just a junior, already with offers from Alabama and LSU among others. Another big weapon for whoever fills Party's shoes is wideout Matthew Golden, who's drawing college interest himself. Kane brings back defensive back Isaac Hudson and linebacker Dylan Stevens as well. Whoever steps in at quarterback could make or break Kane's season, but he'll have all the tools he could need around him to be successful. I think Kane has a very real shot at a district title this year. Speaking of district titles, let's talk a little Klein Collins, considering they've won the last 5 straight. Kane's biggest obstacle could be Collins, who last failed to win its district in 2014 when Kyler Murray was still torching the turf in this state. The Tigers return quarterback Colby Powers, who has plenty of Division I interest as a tight end. However, they'll lose Braylon Bridges at running back, which is big. Bridges was the driver of the offense last season. The good news is Donald Lee and Trent Ward are back to lead a defensive unit that led up more than 14 points just 4 times in 13 games last season. With another strong defense and a lineage of good running backs, as well as a history of winning, I expect Collins to be back at the top of the district. And the game with Kane could be to decide who finishes first and who finishes second. Circle that one on your calendars right now. We'll wrap up the Klein ISD schools with Klein Forest, who owns just 1 win in the last 2 seasons. Fortunately, the Eagles returned one of the better backs in the area in Amonte Watkins, who has offers from Arkansas and Houston and others. I don't think Forest is ready to compete for a playoff spot, but the return of Watkins and quarterback Delvin Jones will certainly have the Eagles in position to win a few games, something they can build on heading into 2021. Our final 2 teams to discuss are Tomball and Tomball Memorial, and I'll start with the latter. Memorial had a surprisingly good year and a pretty good district despite having a young team. Now, they'll reap the benefits of being young last year. Quarterback Colton Marwell is back, along with his top target, Joseph Manjack, who is an SMU commit. Running back Carberry Barnes is back to run behind big offensive lineman Josiah Rodriguez as well. There are some holes to fill on defense, but the Wildcats return more experienced offensive talent than nearly anyone else in Houston. I expect them to be firmly in the district title race, making for a strong top 3 in this district. On the other side of town, Tomball went 5-5 for the 2nd straight regular season, although 2019 did not yield a playoff appearance for the Cougars like 2018 did. They'll lose quarterback Hunter Dunn to Temple, and most of his top targets are gone as well. Running back Jermaine Mays is back to run behind a strong offensive line, but with so many other questions, I have Tomball missing out on the playoffs once again. That's mostly because 15-6A is very deep once again, and there are no shortage of talented teams, even despite Conroe ISD moving to 13-6A. I already know this will once again be one of my favorite districts to keep an eye on. I had a tough time predicting the top 4 playoff teams in this district, and I had a hard time putting those 4 in order as well. That once again leaves us with our final order of business, my team and player to watch. For my team to watch, I'm going to go with Klein Oak. The Panthers were dominant in 2019, but they lose a lot of top talent. I'm interested to see who steps up and how good or bad they could be this season. I really don't know what to expect. In my notes, I made a list of the district standings and had Oak slotting in at 5th just behind Klein. I flip-flopped so many teams before I arrived at my final list, and the only thing I was confident in when it was done was that I really don't know what will happen. Just like 2019, I expect 15-6A to be chock full of surprises. My player to watch for this district is the outstanding young back from Klein Kane, Jaden Blue. I slotted Kane in at 3rd in the district, but it's easy to see how the Hurricanes could win a district title just 1 year after making their first ever playoff appearance with all the returning talent. Blue's chief among that. I think if Kane is to win a district title, which will be plenty hard, Jaden Blue will be the one to take them there. That's all I have for this week. Back to you, Ashley.
Matt, great insight as always. That's all we have for this week's episode of The Campfire. Come back every Monday for a new show. Stay tuned to our social media platforms throughout the week. Those will be bringing you original content focused on District 15-6A. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube that you can go watch it on. Until next time, I'm Ashley Bullington, and thank you for watching The Campfire.